Quick update, what's going on down here. This job isn't for the novice DIYer because of all the old dirt, oil, and sand that's going to be in the area. Everything is very tight fit. Now the bottom of those braided lines will sit flush with the bottom of the little bracket where the O-rings go into. That's kind of your reference point, because that back one, the T30, you can't see it with your eyes. You have to blindly put the screw in for it. And if you don't use silicone grease, you have a high chance of tearing it. These are very sensitive O-rings, so give this to a shop if if it's a mess down here. I'm just about to start working on the second one here. But what I wanted to say was, now that I want to put my oil cooler lines in, my service position stretching thing here that I've done a little bit is proving a little bit much. I mean, I can still push this one in, but I'm going to lower, because I don't have anything really major down here to do. If I'm not remember, yeah, I just got to tighten the drain plug afterwards for the oil once we do the oil. So if there's, oh, and I got to put that rad hose back. Yeah, okay, so you know what we're actually going to do? Here's the thing. I don't want to overstretch this oil cooler line, so I'm going to go back there. I'm going to pop that lower rad hose. Actually, no, both of these need, the reason we didn't do the lower rad hose was because of the belt tensioners. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce my service position. I'm just going to drop the AC O-rings that I added there. Come on, Canon autofocus. Okay, I'm just going to drop the AC O-rings. So we're going to be 3 bricks and an ATV hitch in. And we are going to put this on and the lower rad hose, and we should be good. So don't stretch this stuff out. This can be very costly, your secondary oil cooler line stuff. Again, I don't know if mine's been done with OE parts or aftermarket or never been done, but I doubt it's never, because you'll see the rust on. Okay, that's enough. I will change my service position, pop in the second one, and we will continue. Okay, so this bolt is that tricky one that you need a small spanner for, that you've seen in the previous parts of the series, the oil cooler line series removal. My God, is it difficult to get that bolt started by hand underneath the alternator there. I've dropped the bolt like 5 times. It is tough to line this one up. So yeah, if you're not good with fiddly things, this isn't that simple of a job. If you are, it's not that hard. So yeah, I just thought I'd update you guys that this is a tough bolt to get started. So I'm working on a few things here. Gonna fill up the oil coolant off camera, change the oil filter. I'll show you guys one of the parts where people F up on oil filters right now. But 0407 and 0707, these are way up there by the frame. And the fact that these weren't bent and replaced in any kind of accident that this car has been in is a positive sign that whatever has happened has been minor and has not touched the unibody frame. So I'm very happy about that. So I'm going to store those with the shock brackets for when we get it out of service position. So what I've done here is, I don't know if I've shown it in the Carbon Clean series, but there's 2 bolts you have to take off of the carbon engine cover bracket before you can get to the oil filter. And the second one on mine, since the day I've gotten it, has been rounded out. Because if somebody had taken this to a shitty tech at some point, and the kid or whoever it was over-tightened the bolt on the bracket and just rounded everything out. So I've always had to deal with that, and I only have 1 bolt left. But this is a common failure point, because see, there's the bolt down there, way down there. It's very tricky to do. I mean, you just take this to an oil change spot. Those guys don't know how to do anything. They don't know how to tie their own shoes, okay? So you expect them to take out an Audi bolt. Any Audi bolt all over this car is going to make you re-question your life sometimes. So that is the most crucial part of an oil change on one of these cars, is that bolt. Everything else is straightforward. I got a new drain plug washer. This is our water and coolant in the case that the car doesn't blow up. I think I put that hex shaft in properly, good and strong, so we should be fine. We might have some extra coolant. This is the oil filter we'll be using, and that oil and concentrated OE Audi coolant. So let's see, there's the part number there. Let's see what happens. Yeah, and I'm not going to film it. Nobody likes watching people fill oil and coolant. Every time you think you're getting somewhere, this car will piss the life out of you. So that lower rad hose, I took my stupid hitch off from under the service position, slid the hose on. Again, these dumbass constant velocity clamps slide when you let go of them. So now they're in a position inside of a plastic bracket that I can't reach them with any of my tools. And the removal, it was just as tough. I used the needle nose pliers to get it out somehow. But that's the thing, they snap out of position. I mean, there's got to be a real advantage to these things long term that hopefully I don't know yet. But they are utter junk in terms of serviceability on these absolutely difficult to work on vehicles. Every nut and bolt on this car, you think you're done, the next one will make you start questioning your life again. I've been working at that POS for half an hour now, and I still don't know what tool to use, so take what you will from that. They managed to have something in the way regardless of what angle you go in on with any tool. It's nuts. It's almost like they hired somebody to troll people to never be able to work on these at all. So I was able to push the hose back off, and I took off the constant velocity clamp. This is where, I don't know, a German-made set of remote hose clamp pliers would really help to fit this one. I don't know how I miraculously got that out in the other part of the series with the 90-degree, I think, pliers is what I got it out with. But this will be another testing point. Okay, we have a new one of this hose, so if it leaks, we can change it right away while the car's still in service position. But I'm going to put a Gates silicone hose clamp on an old EPDM hose, and we'll see what happens, because with the tools I have, like I said, remote hose clamp pliers, those Princess Auto piece of junk, you guys remember how much time I wasted with those. And I haven't found an expensive enough proper German one that I know can open a lot of the different sizes of odd clamps that are on this car. So with the tools we have, that's my only choice. I really don't think I could do this. Like, you guys have to be here to believe me that all of these plastic brackets and lines and everything from every angle you put your hand in on the floor doesn't work. Maybe if it was on a lift, I'd find a different angle. But out here, even I don't think you'd find another angle. You just need remote hose clamp pliers. So that's what I'm going to be doing for this hose. Just updating another possible failure point so we have it on the record in case something goes wrong. And that coolant leak, that radiator leaked for a year. A year! That's just from moving it around in service position, what you see there. So this car will piss on your head until the day you put it back together. Well, the largest hose clamp that I had was a 1 1/4 inch Max or Gates, and it is too small for that hose. So I'm going to have to bloody knuckle myself and get that constant velocity clamp on after all. Somehow, seriously. So it seems in sheer luck, the Princess Auto crappy remote hose clamp pliers that crapped out on me, the cable broke and whatever, they've opened this up enough that if I'm strategic with this, okay, what I have to do, because there's no way, I tested it on the hose, it doesn't open the clamp enough for you to put this on the hose and then have the hose thickness, okay, this is important stuff, the hose thickness jump with the bead at the end of the lower rad hose, okay, that bump there. It can't jump that. Okay, it won't focus for shit, but that doesn't matter. You guys get what I'm saying, okay? It needs to jump that with the hose on it. So what I have to do is try to carefully put this in. Hope I don't lose it. Put it over because there's enough space closer to the rad. And then slide the hose on and then put the clamp on. Because that's the only way it'll work with the tools I have. Let's see if it's even possible to do that. It's going to be very tough. Okay, so that did not work. It is absolutely way too difficult to do such a thing. Man, this car is making me pissed off, honestly. Next attempt is going to be, if you can see it back there, if it'll focus, I'm going to put the hose clamp with needle nose pliers on the section of the radiator, and then I'm going to push the hose on and open it at the same time and cut up my hands, which I've been doing trying to do this. There was absolutely no thought of mechanics when these were built, like zero. Okay, we're going to try something else. I think baby vice grips is going to come through again. The big vice grips probably get in the way, but I considered those. But I was able to get that way open, and that means I can try to use that same technique I tried earlier, which is to send this in onto the rad, slide the hose on, and it's open so much to the point that I could probably slide the hose on and then put this on and let go of my vice grips, hopefully, and they land properly. So I'm going to try that and let you guys know. But that is at the max opening. Yeah, I think these vice grips are the trick to reinstalling these kind of clamps in sticky situations. But before I talk too much, let me try and see if it works. Okay, just because extracting this is a pain every time, if it gets stuck on the hose sideways and the hose is all over the bead and everything, I'm actually going to finesse this vice grips to the point that I open this up maximum level. And you have to, don't think that vice grip is holding it very well, okay? You slide your vice grips a little bit, the clamp slides right out. So this isn't like a cheat code, all right? You still got to be really careful when you're doing this. So, but I'm going to open it fully so that if I do lose it, or if it works, I know it's going to work on that attempt and I don't have to spend too much more time. So I'll readjust that, try it, and let you know. But it's going to be more open than even this. Okay, so a few more turns in, and as you can see, it is touching there. So this is the most it'll possibly open. I'm going to carefully feed this onto the rad, slide the hose on, and pray to God it's going to work. Could be screwing myself by getting this clip if it lets go, but there you go. So I fed the clamp in first onto the rad. In its maximum open position, I was able to easily slide the hose all the way in, and now it's at a point where I can move around my vice grips and let it go where I want to. So, beauty solution I came up with there. And for those of you thinking of other orientations of all of these tools, you guys haven't worked on an RS4 before to know that there are absolutely no pockets. And when I'm telling you stuff like this, if this POS will focus, you can't go in from the side. Like, there's a little cave here, okay? That hose literally sits inside of its own plastic cave, which is millimeters away from it. You will get it if you're doing the job. If you're not, you can forever wonder, and believe me. Okay, there you have it. The clamp is on nicely. Time to put fluids in, finally. Okay, we're getting closer to the first start. Let's go see on the table. There's a couple things we gotta go over here. My cinematic garage with all my crap everywhere. Alright, so what was I gonna say? There's that beautiful bent ratchet, which is signature to this car's belt now. That right there in the center of your screen in the bag with that part number is the oil drain plug washer. It's brand new. Torque that stuff down to the correct foot-pounds. I'm not gonna tell you what kind of stuff I do, because people don't like the stuff I do. And here we have those two bolts I was telling you about, that I think they're the updated part number that I was supposed to use for the oil cooler lines. We're going to keep them. I'll research it later. We'll go over it in another video. Drain plug washer. We'll tighten it down with the old bolt. Fill up the oil. Fill up the coolant. 50-50. And get her started. Listen to the symphony. So the car took about 9 liters of oil, so almost both jugs. I have some left over for in case it burns oil, and I used 1 jug of coolant, pretty much the whole thing, and just a little bit under the 4 liters that's in there, because this is 3.78, and that has filled us up decently. I'm sure when I turn the car on, some more coolant will bubble out and I'll add some, but the second jug is untouched. I'll keep it in case of a future coolant leak or more work. And the other jugs of water. So the main part of this, the new part, is, I mean, information wise, is that should know that undoing the coolant hoses on the right side, water pump, stuff like that, is only going to require 1 jug, but still get to be on the safe side, because you might undo more stuff. Okay, so fluids are filled. The car's in too hard of a position to do a hard reset, in case, because you guys know what's going on with the vacuum lines and some other parts of the series. So we're probably going to have a bunch of codes when we start it up, but that is okay, as long as she starts up and that hex water pump shaft was installed correctly by me. So we'll let the battery recharge up a little bit, and I am going to put the snorkel back. What I do want to show you about that one is interesting stuff that you find on German cars sometimes, is the innovative types of springs that they sometimes make. So if the lighting will allow, you look at that. I mean, in the accordion section, they put these interesting metal pieces so that it retains enough structure while it can still bend. So interesting uses of things that the Germans do sometimes. So I'm just gonna loosely put this in. You guys remember I found the bolts for it. Yeah, okay, they're too dark there. Alright, I'm just gonna loosely put this in, even though it makes probably absolutely no difference because all the air volume is calculated going into that inlet with these odd curves. But I will still just leave it hanging there for no reason, okay? I will put it on though. And that will do it. So this car can be turned on in service position with the way I've left that module hanging at the front. Again, I'm not sure how important that is for starting the car. But for the electrical system to have, by deduction, making sure nothing is wrong and having the battery maintained for this 1 year that this car hasn't been started. It can be started in service position with its brakes down there and everything. Everything's connected nicely. It will throw headlight codes because the headlights aren't in. That's fine. Can deal with that later. But yeah, it's ready for a start. And I'll keep an eye on the coolant. We'll try to make a cinematic start. I gotta clean up everything at the back of the car there, all that cardboard, so that the exhaust doesn't mess things around. There's a bunch of stuff under the car because this has become like a storage bin in a way, but a very cared for storage bin, if you will. It's about 4 a.m. out here, so I'm gonna get the Best Neighbor of the World award if I start this catless 4.2 liter V8 at 4 a.m., which I won't do because I have some respect. And I will catch you guys tomorrow. We'll see what happens. Things are gonna go smooth and we can at least drive it around a bit and then continue from there, because it is always a never-ending sea of things required to do with these vehicles. Well, I mean, actually, yeah, I'm gonna put together the whole. Okay, so I got to get ahead of myself. Okay, tomorrow we start the car. That's it for tonight. Fluids are filled, and we await the start tomorrow. Speaking of unfun stuff, the way the freezer lifted when we were doing the belt tensioner stuff, I came to push it back a bit, and it knocked off those stupid sensor things that the garages have so that they don't close on something. So, what could honestly stop us from starting this thing tomorrow is if this causes some kind of garage door malfunction, because it has to be completely aligned or something. There's no light in that corner. But that thing fell down, and it's just other garage life things. Okay, that's enough. I'll try to figure that out. I think we should be fine to just crack the garage door a bit and fire this beast up and hope that, fingers crossed. Time for the first start.